Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Philosophy Podcast. I am your host, Controversy, and to my right, ladies and gentlemen, none other than Mr.
Darren Love!
And together, we are the Philosophy Podcast. Thank you to you guys for tuning in once again this week. Thank you for tuning in to a brand new episode. And yeah, once again, we're back at it for a brand new episode. And this week's episode, what's on the agenda for this week, mate?
I think
What is today's
hot topic.
What is it, mate? What is it? They're dying to know, mate. What is it?
I think it should be appreciation, you know.
Appreciation. So this
I
week,
think it's quite a good
topic.
thing to talk about.
So this week we're talking about
Appreciation,
appreciation.
you know.
Yeah.
Even appreciating the moment,
Oh, definitely.
you know.
That's a big yeah.
Which I think so many people forget to do, really, even myself.
Sometimes, mate. Because sometimes, like, even if you're someone who's got, like, even someone who's, like, a very hard-working person and got a lot of aspirations and things, like, even sometimes when you're achieving your goals, even, sometimes, like, people forget to celebrate the small wins sometimes in life, if you see what I mean. Like, sometimes, like, you get so caught up in just, like, focused on, like, your hustle or, like, your grind or whatever it is that you've got going on that you kind of, like, in a way, kind of get tunnel vision to a degree, if you see what I mean, where you know, you're just zoned in and, you know. But yeah.
I think it's difficult to appreciate life when you're struggling.
Yeah,
really,
true,
you know,
true.
like,
It makes it harder to appreciate
well,
life.
when you
definitely.
haven't got a lot of money, really, and you're struggling with bills and things, you know, and you
Yeah.
don't own your own place, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's difficult to appreciate life then. You know.
Yeah. Well, in that circumstances, because we've all been there. Well, most people have been there. You've got to be a mentally strong person. You've got to keep your mind frame and your mindset positive. You've got to think to yourself, you know what? I'm not in the position that I want to be in right now. But fuck it. I've got a plan. I've got a vision. I've got a direction. I'm being strategic about where I want to go and what I want to achieve and my goals and my dreams and aspirations, etc. And I'm going to make it happen, if you see what I mean, you know? Yeah.
But I think, like, when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate things then, and I think it's something that grows as you get older a little bit more. You know, especially as you get really older, right? I think you start appreciating days more because you know you ain't got long left.
Yeah, I think so,
You know,
yeah.
And you got that, you know.
Well, I think when you're younger too, sometimes you forget about your own mortality. Unless you're living a life on a day-to-day basis where, you know what I mean, you're constantly in conflict or confrontation, then that's a different thing. You probably are thinking about it at that young age. Because I remember even being, when I was 16 years old, sometimes I used to ask myself, I remember being in an environment where I had friends that had been killed and all sorts of shit going on. And I used to think to myself, am I going to make it to 21? And that's some real shit. Like, you know, I used to, honestly, you know what I mean, by the age of 15, 16, I already had 5 friends that have been killed. Close friends that have been killed, that I'd known. By the time I was 20 years old, and I left where I was, and come back and moved back to the UK, I think altogether I had about 12 friends altogether that have been killed. And I remember at 16 years old, sometimes I'd be at home, just chilling by myself, whatever, here, you know, occasionally late at night, whatever, having a joint, and I'd be thinking to myself, I'm in an environment where anything could happen at any time. Like, it's like, if you see what I mean, like, and in those, like you said, in those moments, it just gives you that appreciation of life. It's like,
I mean, it's having near-death experiences as well.
Yeah.
I've had, you know, one of them, which I think I've spoken about before or whatever. But having near-death experiences, you know, makes you appreciate life really, you know. And I think, like, appreciation is very important in life, really. Some appreciation, I think, is secret to happiness in a funny way. You know, I think like the more appreciation you've got inside you, the more happy you're going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
a mindset.
It's like appreciating. You know, personally, I appreciate little things. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like if I see a colourful bird, or I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes me feel happy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and if I see a leaf even, do you know what I mean? It might sound weird to some people, but I love seeing different leaves and things, and I appreciate it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, like I say, I don't think I've always appreciated it. Do you know what I mean? It's something that's slowly, you know, grows.
Yeah.
It slowly grows like a strength inside you. You know. You know, and I think, like I say, the more appreciation you've got inside you, I think the happier you're going to be.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that 100%, mate.
And you know, the truth is, we could go any second. You know what I mean?
True.
I could have a heart attack right this second.
God
you know what I mean? It's unlikely,
God,
right?
God forbid, but
it could.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't know when we're going to go.
No.
And I think
we all live on borrowed time, don't we?
Well, that's what I mean. Even today, I appreciate it today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and even me too. Even sometimes on my Instagram and stuff, sometimes I post things like that a lot, like about appreciation of life and that kind of thing. If you see what I mean, like, you know. And I think sometimes people might think, oh, every time he posts, he's always talking about being positive and being appreciative and all this shit. And the reason that I do it is because that's kind of my philosophy and you know, about life, you know, in life, you know, well, one of them anyway. And I just think people just need to be appreciative of the fact that we're alive, you know.
Yeah.
You're alive, so as long as you're alive, you've got another 24 hours to
right.
try to change some shit, if you see what I mean, in some way, like, you know, like our decisions, you know, every decision we make shapes our future, you know, especially once you get to a certain age, once you become an adult, let's say for example, every decision that you make shapes your future.
What, even if I went up the shop right now?
Yeah, because you don't know what could happen if you went up the shop right now. You don't know who you might meet in the shop. You might run into a bird.
I might not come back.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
You might get lost.
You might, well, not only that, but no, what happens if you fell, or God forbid, or something happened, or you got hit by a car randomly, you went across the road and didn't see the car coming and you got hit. You just don't, that's the thing, not saying we want anything like that to happen.
Or a helicopter fell on my head.
That would probably be like, a chance of like 1 in like 10 million or something.
Yeah, but it does happen.
It does happen, yeah.
To some people.
Yeah.
They're just walking along, a helicopter falls on their head.
Yeah.
It's true.
But yeah, like I was saying, every decision can, you know, shapes your future.
So I could go to the shop and a helicopter could fall on my head.
Get decapitated by a,
yeah.
By one of those bloody, you know, that'd be bloody awful,
it
mate.
It could sort of fall upside down and chop your head off.
It would be a quick death, of course, because if you get your head cut off, that's it. It's just instantaneous, isn't it? You're gone, if you see what I mean. There's no, you know.
Well, that's why I appreciate life, because that hasn't happened to me yet.
God forbid, mate.
It hasn't not happened.
But we just all, everyone. I think everyone hopes. Everyone, as we always say, it goes back to appreciation, like we're talking about. If you really appreciate life and you really enjoy life like we do, you want to have a long life, a long, happy, healthy, prosperous life, if you see what I mean, blessed life, you know what I mean? Because you appreciate it for what it is, you know? But the reality is that, like you said earlier, like you were saying just now, no one knows when that time's going to come, and especially when you're younger, we tend to forget about it because you're living in the moment and you think to yourself, oh, I'm young, you know what I mean, I'm going to be around for a long time, you know, there's people that live to their 100, you know what I mean, I'm going to make it to at least close to that or something.
A lot of young people die.
Exactly, you know, and it's just a thing of like, you know, we need to wake up. I think, you know, so like you said, sometimes it takes a catastrophe or a disaster or something bad happening for people to remember what's really important. Going back to appreciation, like their loved ones and the people in their lives that truly matter and shit like that. Sometimes we get so caught up in work, in our hobbies, our likes and passions and pleasures and etc. And sometimes people forget to check in with their loved ones, if you see what I mean. Like, you know, people take it for granted because people sometimes forget, oh, they're always going to be there. And it's like the reality is that they're not always going to be there.
Well, everything comes to
You know,
an end, doesn't it?
everything comes to an end. So I think that's just one of those things that I always try to remind people. Like, don't forget it. Keep it in the back of your head. Like, you know what I mean? At least check in with your loved ones. At least a couple of times a month. At least at a minimum. Like, you know, just to make sure everyone's straight, everyone's good. Like, at least 2 times a month. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm just calling just to make you okay, mums. You know what I mean? You alright? You got everything you need? Okay, you good? Okay, I love you lots. Speak again soon. You know what I mean? We're all guilty of it, especially when you become an adult and you become independent and you move out of the household and you become a man or a woman and you end up having your own relationship or marriage or children or, you know, we get consumed by life and we forget about sometimes things, you know, that are important, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, take it for granted, you know, neglect sometimes like some of our loved ones, you know. We're all guilty of doing it sometimes, you know, because life is hard today, we're so busy, but you know, it's important to appreciate.
Sometimes so too busy to appreciate things, really.
That's it.
You know.
Sometimes, yeah.
And like as I say, like we've said before, like prices are going up at the moment, left, right, and centre right now. And people are struggling. You know, they got to work hard or whatever, and they got a job to appreciate things. I think, you know, or have time to think about appreciation. You know.
Yeah.
You know, they got to work harder, basically. You know.
Yeah.
And I think it's sad actually because I personally I've got appreciation in living inside me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. It's not full time, I'd say, but I'm hoping that, you know, it will grow stronger. You know, if you're with me. And I think it's sad that some people have not got appreciation.
Yeah.
That's what I find sad.
Yeah.
You know, because I think if you haven't got appreciation, you're not going to be very happy.
Yeah.
You're going to have a pretty sad life, really, you know, if you, you know, you think about it, you know, you don't appreciate anything in life, you know, not even the stars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That means you're unhappy.
Yeah.
You know, appreciation is loving something in a funny way, you know, enjoying or, yeah, loving, you know, like me, I love nature, you know, I love all the birds and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate them too. You know, I appreciate all the birds, you know, and whatever.
Yeah.
I appreciate this world, Earth itself. You know, look at, like, you know, I can see it. You know, how beautiful it is. You know, our country's got loads of forest in it, whatever. You know, and there's other parts of the world that's just got sand.
Yeah.
And whatever. You know, there's so many beautiful parts of this world. You know,
Yeah.
like Brazil and so on. And,
definitely.
You know, and India.
Loads of different places.
You know, this earth is so interesting, you know, and it's got so many interesting insects and animals on it, you know, and it's got oxygen around it, you know, and we breathe the oxygen, you know, so I even appreciate breathing the oxygen.
Of course,
I mean? Every breath that I take in a funny way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's it. I think that's one of the keys to life, really, appreciating it.
One of the main
You know, and I don't want to lose it in kind of way, my appreciation.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit like having respect in a way.
Oh,
you know,
definitely,
that's a different
yeah.
subject a little bit, but
Yeah.
appreciation is beautiful.
A good characteristic to
Well,
have.
it's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm glad that I've got it.
Likewise, for sure.
You know, I appreciate a lot of things in life. You know, I mean, there's some things I don't appreciate. Do you know what I mean? There's some things that I can't do anything about, and I've got to put up with.
But and things like, as we always say, you can't stress or worry about shit you can't control, can you?
Well, you're going to make your hair grey by worrying.
By worrying, because you can't change it or control it.
And there's a lot of things you can't change, no matter how much you worry.
Exactly. Or you would like it to change sometimes.
Exactly.
You don't know what the circumstance may be.
It's like, you know, for instance, I don't like all this traffic on the road. There's too much of it. Do you know what I mean? It's too noisy. You know, but I can't do nothing about it.
No.
You know, so I have to live with it and accept it in a funny way, you know, and shut my windows to it in a kind of way, you know, so it's a bit quieter. You know, and make my world the best I can.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, but I look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, likewise.
You know, because I mean, I've had a great day today. You know, I've done a lot today, and I know that tomorrow's going to be better because I've done a lot today.
Yeah.
Simple. You know, I won't have to do so much tomorrow, but you know, I think everyone's got a lot to do, haven't they?
Oh, definitely.
You know, whether it's housework or
always shit to do, mate.
I think it's hard work just being alive and feeding yourself.
Sometimes it is hard work being alive.
Yeah.
Sometimes, mate, because especially you work a lot and you got family and kids and other things that you do too, other passions and you know aspirations and shit that you're pursuing outside of all of that, as well as everything else, and trying to see all your loved ones as well. You know what I mean? Your extended family, whether it be your wife's family or your family or your friends.
Got to think of a lot of things, haven't we?
It's endless, you know.
Got to think of a lot of things.
You know, like you said, you work. You know, you got to do. You know, you work just as much much at home sometimes as you might do at work sometimes, occasionally. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know. Like over me, like having kids and stuff, like sometimes when I clean my house usually like twice a week, like hoover the whole house and you know, or at least
twice. I do it 4 times a week, right?
No, but because I do the whole house when I do it, and I do
Really
like
joking.
if you see what I mean, and obviously having kids, I just do it twice a week, you know. But obviously I clean everything else every day, you know, kitchen's cleaned every day, you know, etc. Everything's always clean, but you know, it's
But I think even
hard to keep up with sometimes.
I think
It's never ending, and you know, you try your best to stay on top of it, don't you? You know.
I think even a homeless person that doesn't have to do any housework, alright,
Yeah.
finds it tough, you know, just looking after himself.
Or he needs to find somewhere
Oh,
that.
you got a bar.
Yeah.
You still got a bath. You still got to find food. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not so easy to cook either or whatever. You know. Do you know what I mean? Whatever, you know. But I think it's a struggle in the kind of way, just being alive.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm saying. You
Yeah.
know? And I think it's an extra struggle when you've got a house, you know, and you've got to look after it and keep it up. You know.
Yeah. The upkeep.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. It's never ending today, mate. But we all do our best to stay on top of it and stay ahead. You know what I mean? And keep our head above water and you know do what we need to do and handle our responsibilities and handle our shit to ensure that you know our people are good. You know, that's what you've got to do. You know, it's
Well, I think
it's not easy. You know, but we all if you want to make a change, you have to do it yourself. That's how I've always like looked at it personally. You know, I always like think if you want something in your life to change, if there's something in your life that you're truly not happy about, and you really want to change it, and you want to get away from it, or whatever the case may be, you can do it. It's you have to make that personal decision to take whatever action is needed to do that. You know.
Yeah, it's like drinking. I gave that one up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a perfect example.
7 years ago.
Yeah, it's a perfect
You know,
example.
really, I do want to give up smoking, you know, but I've done it all my life, to be honest with you, you know, and
Likewise, but
I do it occasionally, whatever, you know, or when I'm doing a show or whatever.
Yeah.
But all in all, I think that appreciation is something that you learn
Yeah.
in life,
Yeah.
and yeah. I can't remember. I can't be honest. I was going to say something, but it's gone right on my head.
It's gone. Yeah.
You know, I was going to say like, you know, even appreciation of like you think about like, you know, I do love going back in time. Like say, let's go back 500 years, and where people were living, right? They didn't have comfortable beds like we do today. They don't have double glazing like we do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, and all this electric, you know, and people, you know, like born into this, you know, and they don't appreciate it in a kind of
That's
way.
what I was going to say. Is that, yeah, people don't the newer generation, any generation born after like
like the internet.
after the internet age, to be honest, was I would say probably don't really appreciate it because, like you said, they've had it their whole life.
Yeah.
They've known nothing else but what exists today, if you see what I mean. But I'm glad to say personally that I'm a 90s baby, you know, I was born in 92. So I was able to grow up and appreciate both, if you see what I mean, you know. You know, I was always outdoors as a kid, you know what I mean, and then as I got older, I was always outdoors as I was older as well, but obviously a bit more indoors because when you did have the internet and stuff, there was a more, you know, more of a reason to want to be indoors occasionally, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I was able to see the transition, you know, the transition of like even growing up today too. Like I was, because of the age that I was born, I think anyone who was born in the 90s, especially like the early 90s, is like the last generation that was able to experience like not having video games to like as you slowly got older, like 7-8 years old, video games started coming into play, And then as you got a little bit older, that's when the internet came into play. So we were about 10 or 11 years old when the internet came into play. And then by the time we slowly got older, by the time we got 15, 16, whatever, you know what I mean, at that time, the internet was a lot better, it was getting better, and you know,
I'd say 500 years ago they didn't have the internet at all, didn't have any games, you know, they didn't know, they didn't, you know, it didn't exist basically.
A completely different world, mate.
It didn't exist,
completely different society.
All the games that have come out today, whatever they are, you know, you know, everyone, well, a lot of people know of them, you know, but like I say, they didn't exist back then, and I think people appreciate each other more.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Because there wasn't all these games, if you see what I mean.
Too many distractions today.
There's a lot of distractions, you know, out here, you know, and as I say, I think people have got their different interests, you know, and there's so many distractions, we're kind of getting separated because of it. That's what I think. You know, if you go back in time, there one, you know, like 500 years ago, I don't think there was football matches back then.
Yeah.
You know, and cricket matches and everything, you know. I think just people were more connected doing, you know, whatever, I don't know. You know, and they weren't talking about football back then, you see, because it didn't exist. They were talking about plants, you know, whatever. You got to think about it, you know.
Survival.
You know, and I just think people did. It was a bit rougher back then, you know, because you might get like your head cut off by an axe back then, you know.
But, a bloody spear or someone, you know, someone would chuck a bloody spear at you.
Yeah, we locked up in a you know, like a dungeon or something. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It must have been a bit of a nightmare, you know. And like today, it's a bit of a safer world, and
definitely,
way, you know, where all the streets are lit up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they do light them up, really. You know, you think about it, like in London when they lit up, like they lit those streets up with oil, whatever, in the 1850s. But I think it is more for crime.
Okay, yeah, to prevent crime.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that would make sense because back in those times too, there used to be a lot of things that would happen. You know, that police or any of these people back then, they didn't have the forensics or anything, that stuff like back then they couldn't solve a lot of the crimes that used to happen, if you see what I mean. Like back then you had a lot of sick people about that would bloody, you know, do all sorts of awful shit, kidnap people, and you know.
Well, you had the Ripper, did you?
That's what I mean. So if you're living in darkness, you're living in darkness, especially late at night, everywhere's bloody dark, pitch black. You got people having to commute to and from home for work or whatever the case may be during those times or whatever. You know, like, you know, almost like, you know.
I mean, that's one thing I do appreciate, really, electric, right? It's kind of made our world a lot safer.
A lot safer. In a lot of ways.
You can phone out the police straight away.
Well, as I say, where I come from, we don't phone the police, but...
No, I'm just saying, like, well, nobody likes calling the police.
But for the average civilian, yes.
Or the ambulance, you know. Let's say, you know, like, it's made our world a little bit safer, I think, you know, where, like, people that do break in houses, they're not likely to do it because they know you've got a mobile phone and you're going to phone the police up on it. And things like that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of technology out there to stop, you know, whatever today, like cameras everywhere.
Oh yeah. Lots of CCTV and Big Brother.
You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wish that everybody appreciated life a little bit more, you know. You know, like I say, I think it's all, you know, appreciation has got a lot to do with happiness. You know, like appreciating your eyes, for goodness sake. You know, that you wake up and you can see.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine if you woke up and you opened your eyes and you couldn't see?
Yeah.
You know, it does happen to people sometimes.
It does happen, yeah.
Right? You know, they go blind.
Well, I was going to say, I know a lady who lost her husband, and because of the trauma of losing her husband, she ended up, you know, bless her, she ended up going blind. Because of the trauma. They've been together for a very long time. And after he passed, she was obviously so distraught, went through so much trauma, whatever. Somehow something happened, and she, like you said, within a few months, you know, she went from being able to see fine to a few months later not being able to see.
But it could happen a day, Josh.
Yeah.
Your eyes can go in one minute, honestly. I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah.
You know, like you can go into a coma for a month or so, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite weird, isn't it, all of it, you know. When you think about it. That's what I like, you know, you've got to appreciate when you're not feeling when you're not feeling sick. You know, when you're feeling healthy, really, you know, you can wake up and walk to the shop. You know, you got to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You got to appreciate that you can walk to the shop.
Mm.
You know, like I've been learning to walk now for 50 years. You know, and it's like when you first start walking, or everyone's clapping. Look, he can do 3 steps.
He can move.
You know, like walk to mummy, you know, whatever. You know,
all that. Yeah.
But like when you're 10, nobody's clapping your hands. You know, when you can run up a hill. You know, or now I can climb a mountain, whatever. Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but no, you know, it's, and I'm still learning to walk today, and sometimes I fall.
Yeah.
You know, people don't realise they're still kind of babies, but big babies.
Yeah.
In a funny way, you know, big adults and whatever. And we're still learning how to walk, we're learning how to talk, we're learning how to cook, we're learning all these things. You know, and it, like for instance, I said before, like, depending on how much you know knowledge about cooking, for instance, say, yeah, which, you know, I know enough, and I'm happy with what I know with cooking. You know, but there's all these other things to learn. You know, it's amazing. Life is amazing. You should appreciate that. You should appreciate all these different things you can learn, all these different skills. You know, I mean, I know a number of skills. You know, and I'm sort of thinking, what skill do I want to learn next?
Yeah.
In life, you know. You know, like I don't know how to play piano, for instance. You know what I mean? And you know, I'd love to actually. Do you know what I mean? You know, like that, and show off.
Yeah.
You know, I can't play piano, but I can make up melodies, you know, on software and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, appreciation is a very beautiful thing to have, and you know, I'm glad I've got it. This keeps me alive.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
Definitely.
To be honest with you.
Definitely. Yeah. Got to be appreciative, mate.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I say, if you didn't have
life is short.
Yeah.
You know, as I know, as cliche as it sounds, you know, that old saying of, you know,
well, not another
life is short. Excuse me. But yeah, people, I think, like you said today, we get so distracted with social media, with sports, with work, with everything else that goes on, everything, you know, there's so much shit going on. And people sometimes forget just to take that little moment just to be like, thank you. Like, you know, just to be like, just to give thanks, you know, for what they've got, you know. And I find personally that for me, the more thankful, the more grateful, the more appreciative that I've ever been, the more blessings that I actually receive. It's almost like you're rewarded somehow.
Yeah, I feel the same.
For being grateful, because I think the God or the universe or the whatever it is, like realizes your true intention, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and your true intention and will, and it responds to that. If you see what I mean, it realizes that your intentions are pure, like you are really trying to, you know.
Well, I've always tried to do the right thing in my life, all my life. But I haven't always done the right thing. You know, not that you know, like for instance, when I was married to my wife for 13 years, going back to being married.
Yeah.
Well, I was just working all the time. I'm doing too many hours. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Thinking that was the right thing. You know, trying to get as much money, but because I was going out there doing so many hours, I wasn't paying enough attention to my ex-wife, you see, and that's why it kind of fell apart, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes you can think you're doing the right thing, but you're not.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like if I, going back in time, if I cut my hours down to half what I was doing, I could have spent more time loving her, do you know what I mean?
And mistakes.
Yeah, you know, like doing the right thing really, you know, like sometimes you can think you're doing the right thing, but you're not.